Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fightful Prediction Show with me, Stephanie Chase. And today I am joined by Andrew Thompson to talk about WWE Clash in Paris. Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Steph Chase, what's going on, man? It's good to be back on the prediction show with you. I think the last time we did this was like around this time last
Yeah.
year, I think. So yeah, I'm glad to be back. Excited to talk some graps with you, man.
Yeah, me too. Well, we have a five-match card to talk about. It's a little bit of I'm not sure if it's the most exciting one, but I'm sure we'll find something to mine from this. And
Mm.
well, let me just find our video and we'll get started as soon as possible. And we'll hear from our sponsor at MyBookie.
Hey guys, Sean Rossap here to tell you about mybookie.ag. Yes, you can bet on professional wrestling. I know a lot of people watching this know that they have some insight. They've got a little bit of a heads up. And if you think that you know more than the odds makers, head over to mybookie.ag. Use that code FIGHTFUL. Get a $50 bonus with a $100 deposit or a $100 bonus with a $200 deposit. They have lines on upcoming shows for WWE, AEW, as well as all other sports. But leave it a little bit of extra if you feel very confident in the direction of some of the booking, the direction of some of the storylines. You can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere with mybookie.ag. Use that code FIGHTFUL. Please only bet what you can, and please bet responsibly. Mybookie.ag, bringing you the best experience from the best. Mybookie.ag and the code FIGHTFUL.
MyBookie.ag, code FIGHTFUL. Hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to Maria. Good to see you as always. Fernando, Zach. All right, Andrew, are you ready to get into the Clash in Paris?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I think one thing we can say for sure is this show is going to have a really great card based on what we saw at Backlash France. They were wild. I think the European ones are always really, really good. So it's at least going to be that. But it's a nice, neat, and tidy card. Let's start off with Sheamus versus Rusev, a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. For me, like Rusev, I don't know. It's not been the massive like to WWE, like, has it? I feel like I don't even see him that much, on TV. But him and Sheamus have been having this back and forth. I guess that Rusev probably has to win because he's the newer guy, and Sheamus can always take a loss. But yeah, how are you feeling about it, Andrew?
Yeah, kind of the same thing about like whenever I see whenever I'm like covering the show or whatever like that, or watching it or whatever's going like with Rusev, I can't buy into it or get into it. Doesn't feel like anything that like really piques my interest in regards to like what he's doing. But I will say the matches with Sheamus have been the past matches that he's had have been like entertaining. So I will say that. But it does feel like the crowd in terms of like these audiences that are at the shows that Rusev's on, like it feel like they don't really buy into him much, and like it isn't until he's having those matches specifically with Sheamus that they are able to like feed into it. And I also think that's a more credit to Sheamus's reputation that he's built up as this bruiser brawler type of in-ring worker. And I think that more so people are more invested in that and Sheamus's persona, and then Rusev's attached to that. Like to your point about him winning, I think that's probably more so likely the way to go. Because I mean, I honestly, like if Rusev loses, like I really don't see like where he fits in anything. Like this, it's so interesting seeing how it like how he had this, like he found this thing in AEW, and it worked so well. Like what was the character? It was like the God's favorite champion, or
God's favorite character.
Yep. And he found like it seemed like he struck gold with that, and like it felt like everything was clicking and everything worked. And then like he disappeared off TV, and like you started hearing these reports and these stories about like him, like I guess like turning down pitches or whatever. Like, and I think he maybe like squashed some of that or whatever the situation was. but like it doesn't. Like, I feel like even when you saw some of the vignettes, like upon his comeback, it felt like they tried to like replicate that a little bit. Like they tried to like tap into the things that made him popular in AEW, and it hasn't really completely transferred over. So, I mean, yeah, I think if you, I don't really see where he goes if he loses to Sheamus, and honestly, if he wins, I don't really see where he goes.
True. I just feel like he's one of those guys, and I think Aleister Black is in the same category as well, where they're just always going to be in this mid card. And obviously, like they want more from themselves, and like everyone, should like have that confidence. And it's like they've done the jumping from promotions to try and make it click, and like it just hasn't. And sometimes I'm like, do you have to look at yourself and be like, am I the problem? Both of them in a way. And yeah, Rusev, he had a great thing going in AEW for a while, and then it just stopped. And I haven't been like bowled over by his WWE comeback. I think it's going to be much of the same of Rusev, how he was without Lana, where he was kind of just a guy, really. But smart of them to do a Donnybrook match, like a no DQ match, somewhere like this where the crowd's going to be really hot, because I think that would just make things even better. So I think it will come off well on TV. It will be fun, but it's at the end of the day, it's Sheamus versus Rusev. But I think Rusev's gonna win. All right, let's move on to Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. Who have you got for this one, Andrew?
Roman. I think with this division stable with Seth, Paul, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed, it's so like I'm not gonna say I don't like it, but like it's like sometimes the dynamics at play kind of confuse me just a bit. Like even when that period when Seth was out with his injury, like it felt like they were like you could sort of feel the shift to Braun Breaker sort of starting to like on an up and up a little bit, and the chemistry amongst like all the three parties that were there at the time, it felt solid. And like with Seth in play, I feel like with it sort of slows down the clear plans that they have for Braun Breaker. But I mean, that not saying that it has to be rushed or Braun Breaker needs to be champion or anything like that by tomorrow. But like as far as when Seth wasn't there, it did feel more so of a cohesive unit, if you will. And
I mean, I don't buy Seth as a leader. I just don't buy him.
And like even with the sort of I guess the dynamics with him and Paul Heyman, like it's I'm just like maybe I'm just comparing it to the dynamic that Paul and Roman had over the last 5 years in terms of like those two characters being one, and like I feel like that's always like a solid indicator of when two characters or two people are like sort of meant to be together, if you will, on storyline or on the TV. Like when you can't think of one without thinking of the other. Like I can think about Paul Heyman without Seth Rollins, and I can think about Seth Rollins without Paul Heyman, and maybe like again we this has been 4 months now, so I mean I do like that they've sort of found something with Bronson Reed in terms of him being like this, I guess, this shoe thief or shoe collector or whatever that is. Like that's it gives him, I guess, something that make him stand out in the group, because it did feel like for even like since he arrived at since he joined the group at Saturday Night's Main Event, that it was more so just like big plans for Braun. Seth's obviously the main guy. Paul Heyman's gonna be Paul Heyman, and then Bronson Reed was just like the muscle, but there was nothing else attached to him. So now I guess he has this thing, but I think Roman's gonna beat him for sure at Clash.
I feel like as I said, I don't buy Seth, as the leader of a faction. I'm not the highest person on Seth, and I think when you think about other people that he's that Paul Heyman has managed, whether it be like Roman or even Brock, I feel like I know why he would go with those people, and not to be like too like offensive to Seth, but I almost feel like him choosing Seth, I'm like, okay, have you been watching for the past like however many years of just Seth Rollins being Seth Rollins? Like, I'm not sure he's the horse I would back when there's all these like younger guys and stuff like that. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think that Braun is like clearly the star, but yeah, this getting the trainers thing has really helped Bronson Reed. I would never bet against Roman because he's Roman Reigns. Like he's one of the top guys we've had for a long time now. But I just do wonder if maybe you could get a huge upset, which would also feel weird because then it's Bronson getting a victory over Roman instead of like Seth getting it, first. But they're doing all this trainer stuff. And they're marketing it so much that it would be like weird to drop it, though I suppose he could continue. And also the whole show kind of just feels like a setup anyway for other events. And maybe like one of those events is probably War Games, where we'll have, Roman's team versus Seth's team. And so he could take a loss before that. But at the same time, I would never want to say that I don't think Roman's going to win. So I'm just going to say I think Roman's going to win. But I do see like a small chance with Bronson Reed that I don't usually see with people going against Roman.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening. I just think that they'll probably just go like the safe route, if you will, and they'll just take the route of Roman Reigns getting the pin over Bronson Reed, and then like they'll probably reheat Bronson probably like the next night on Raw and like have him do like the the multiple tsunamis thing so he can get his heat back, and that'll be their way, sort of continuation of Bronson Reed being presented as this destructive monster within that faction.
Can you see them adding a new member to the Vision now, like in time?
You want to know what? There was a part of me for a while that felt like an Ethan Page will fit well, but like when I was covering Heat Wave this past Sunday, and like Ethan, I think that him and Chelsea kind of got something with the whole Secret Service type thing. I think that he would fit well with like within that if they like choose to keep that going beyond just the the current thing that they got going on right now in NXT. So I can see that fit well. I thought Ethan would be like a solid fit for the Vision. Ricky Saints. I could see him being in that as well. Like I remember I saw people throwing out Carmelo Hayes' name. Like my only thing with that is I feel like it would be like a constant comparison between him and Braun Breaker, considering that when they were in NXT, they were like this on the same platform, on the same level, and they were presented in the same light. And it wasn't presented as Braun better than Melo better than Braun. Like it was like these are the two guys in the men's division in NXT. And I feel like if that was to be something that would happen on the main roster, I feel like it would be a very obvious, presentation of, because I mean they do it now with Braun and Bronson Reed. Like you can see who's clearly the focus in these particular these like interpersonal dynamics that they have within that group. You can tell who the creative team is like. This is the guy that we're going to be worried about 9 months from now, 6 months from now. And I feel like throwing in Carmelo Hayes and they will only just point out the obvious sort of I don't want to say favoritism, but I guess I'm gonna just say favoritism of who they choose to focus on. Like I remember it's like an interview that Carmelo did. I think it was either early this year or I think it was early this year, like right before sometime before WrestleMania. And I remember I was typing up some transcripts for it, and he was like he was like talking about Carmelo was talking about his position in WWE and was like feeling like like him not getting sort of the same opportunities as like some of the counterparts that and I think this more so the question was more so like about Braun Breaker, but Braun Breaker's name was never specifically stated, but like I think that anybody with like 2 ears could like tell that this was like a comparison type deal. And Melo was just talking about how Paul Heyman told him that he's batting 100 or something like that, but the thing is Melo is 8th in the lineup. And I was like, I mean, and I think Melo had a good response to it. Like he sort of like one of those like very like taking on the chin type of like, okay, I got to look at it from a positive light and it makes sense type of deal. But like that I think just hearing that, like, and especially from Paul Heyman, like clearly Paul's tapped into the creative writing aspect of it all, and I don't think that something like that wouldn't be said if that wasn't the overall mindset about Carmelo Hayes' presentation. I think that was just like a gist of what more so maybe a lot of that creative writing team thinks about Carmelo Hayes. Like they think that he can be a big player, but like he's like on the bottom, like not on the bottom of the totem, but somewhere near that in terms of their importance of where like how important it is to get him on television and get him in those primetime spots. Cause like, you know, like it's so I don't know. But like as far as your overall question, like I think that there are like several people, like how you say Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, who could fit into the vision.
I think Ricky would like be good because there's like a Braun and Bronson similarity. And I think that Ricky, more like his size, his build, his style is kind of like Seth. Like not, you know, like enough. And also how he talks and everything, that I think he would probably fit like the most. And I think it would just be good because with, you know, Ricky being in AEW, all of that, like just throw him out there in the main roster and like see what he can do. I think let him, you know, prove himself, whatever. I think that would be pretty cool. Right. Sorry.
Hey, Steph, real quick, like I know I'm pretty sure we was probably gonna get into it at some point, but I just wanted to bring this up. Like it's like especially with you know with Naomi and her news about him and her Jimmy Uso's pregnancy and congratulations to them. That's cool as hell. Like I was kind of surprised that they didn't add a title match to this POE, especially considering that they're doing the title match the day after the POE. I'm like, why did you just add the shit to the card? Like and like I mean I get the whole the idea of this well, you know, you got to have stuff for the following show. You got to have stuff for the TV, and I'm just like it's a 5-match card. Like you should, you know, you would, Steph.
I just think that it's clear where their priorities are. Like this, so this is the last Peacock show, I'm pretty sure, right? This is like the end of their obligations to Peacock, so they're kind of like, you know, fuck it, like have 5 matches in France, and then they're going to, like, obviously Netflix is a huge priority, getting those ratings up, and then they've got the ESPN stuff where I guess they're going to get like Brock Lesnar's match and stuff like that that's going to happen, WrestlePalooza and things like that. So yeah, I think I do kind of, I feel sorry for the fans in France, but I don't think they're going to mind. They're going to have a great time. But it does feel like this pay-per-view, they're like, okay, what can we put on this show that isn't using up something that we really want to do and be really special? Because I think a lot of these matches are like you know who's going to win basically, and they're setting up other things, so they're just like, oh, you know, our Peacock thing's done now, whatever. But it is wild to not have a woman's, you know, like find Naomi's success or like on the pay-per-view.
Who do you think is gonna be the person to face Stephanie Baker for the title? Gonna be Rhea.
It's kind of always Rhea, isn't it?
Yeah, so
like,
she
I like
beat,
Rhea. Yeah.
Then she beat Roxanne on Monday.
Yeah, it's I think Rhea. I think maybe Stephanie will be the champion because I kind of feel like she's awesome and she's had a really like fast trajectory. And if Naomi was still the champion, I would say like let Naomi have it longer. You know, she's earned it, all that. But since it's not Naomi, then I would say put it on Stephanie.
Yeah, like I feel like that was sort of the progression anyway. I think that Naomi was going to hold the belt for a while. And then like the person that she was eventually going to drop it to was Stephanie Baker at some point. I think it was probably like sometime in 2026. Maybe they probably like stretch it out to Mania to give her crowning moment or whatever like that. But yeah, I can see that. But like my thing is like I I mean, because Rhea's already been champion. She lost the title already this year. So it's like, but I was kind of confused when they announced that for Raw. I'm like, I mean, the POEs is right. It's like literally right there. I mean, and it was going to be a title match on the POE anyway between Naomi and Stephanie Vaquer. So like, I would be like, oh, the only thing to do is like find somebody to fill in and do that title match. But you know, we're gonna see. But I do agree with you. I think it's gonna be probably Rhea Ripley, like most likely.
She's like the one, and she's the one that they want to like get attention on. And there's something about the way that Rhea performs and carries herself that Rhea sees herself facing anyone as a huge deal, and they market her against anyone as a huge deal, whether she's wrestling or it's for the first time. So I think they'll get something out of that. We do have the Intercontinental Championship on the line. It's Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella. So this one, I know I always say that like Nikki's just my all-round favorite woman. I just love Nikki Bella, and I have like enjoyed seeing her back. I think I'm not going to say she's been like great in ring or anything, but I think she's done pretty well in some of the back reports. Becky, I think, has just like been on fire. I think she's been excellent with the character that she's doing, and I think that as much as it might seem nice to give Nikki a title that she's never won before because it didn't exist when she was around, I think it's going to be Becky. But I think we may have some weird shenanigans with Bailey, who's currently gone crazy. And I think it'll be quite a short match because I think, although Nikki is good, I don't think that she's going to go like have this really long like great match with Becky Lynch. I think it's going to be a little bit more shenanigan heavy, probably tends to be.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be like an 11-minute maybe match, like just to give them like it ain't gonna be like nothing under 10 minutes, but I think it'll be like just over 10 minutes, just to give them some time to get in whatever they got to get in. I agree with you on your point about Nikki. I think I always thought this was something that and I've always appreciated or sort of just enjoyed how like how AEW like brings in like their like these different legends and like incorporates them into the television product, and more so like it's not just appearances, it's like giving them like these sort of runs and then like they become within that fabric of AEW programming. And I felt like that's something that WWE could have been sort of doing this in terms of like just not bringing them back for like one-offs, but like they do it with like Trish, like they'll bring like Trish back for like something somewhat extended, like I mean, even her last thing with Evolution, I think Trish had spoke about that on Sam Roberts' podcast, when she was just like, I mean, well, we only had like a week or 2 weeks to like actually build this thing. Like I kind of wish it was like something more than that, but like it is what it is. And like I feel like they could do what they're doing right now with Nikki. They could have been doing that with like other legends, and specifically like a lot of legends from the from like a lot of their women legends as well. I feel like they could have been like doing this type of deal where like you bring people back for like these cycles, and like you sort of have them like maybe just like pay-per-view to pay-per-view type of deal, and like give them something to do or work with, because I feel like they missed out on a lot of potential like matchups or things that fans who grew up in that era in which these different athletes came up in, that would have been excited to see them sort of come back and mix it up with the newer generation. I think that would have been something that they could have leaned into. But I do like it is like refreshing to get to have like a.
Oh, I think we just lost Andrew there. Hopefully he'll be on his way back. But yeah, like what Andrew was saying, I think it is refreshing the way they've slotted Nikki in to what's going on, rather than it just being a random match, and they give her a reason to be there, and really kind of played into her history and being like a bit of a pioneer in the women's division, because even though she was, back in the time when it was still the Divas Championship, there was like this moment when Nikki suddenly became like more of a wrestler that precedes all this. And then you've got someone like Becky that just took it like to another stratosphere with what she did with the man. So it's been really good to see them, but I don't think there's any chance that Becky is dropping the towel to Nikki. But I really do kind of appreciate her. She has a genuine like commitment and passion for wrestling, so I think that's really, really great. Are you back, Andrew? Oh, I don't think so. Let me see. Let me remove. I think Andrew's back. Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry. He is just getting. I can't hear you. 1 second, guys. Sorry. We also had my battery run out of camera. My camera run out of battery earlier, so no. Okay, Andrew will be right back. Maybe I will just move on and start talking a little bit about the Fatal 4-Way for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I don't think is going to be the main event. So we have here Seth Rollins champion, CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. So this one for me is another that is like a foregone conclusion. I think Seth Rollins is absolutely winning. And I think more what we're doing is just setting up things for the WrestlePalooza show and for Survivor Series as well, because I could see Punk and Jey and LA Knight having to coexist together if they do a War Games match against Seth and the rest of the division. I think like there is something there between Punk and LA Knight that will be explored, but I just don't see any way that Seth loses the belt, and I think it's kind of a bit of a lazy one to put together a 4-way like this, but I think it will lead to something coming up in Survivor Series. I think we're certainly gonna have a War Games match that they'll all be involved in. I think if there is another member of the Vision coming, I could see them being unveiled in this match to help Seth win. Now, who will be pinned? I think probably LA Knight, unfortunately for him. I think he's probably going to be the one taking the pin. Like, maybe Jey could. I'm really not CM Punk completely. Like, CM Punk's not going to get pinned. But I think LA Knight's probably going to be the one that gets pinned here. As you know, I'm not the biggest Seth Rollins fan, so it's kind of still just painful to me that Punk is now like forever tied to Seth, and like forever he seems to be totally unable to get away from him, and that is upsetting. I think it will be a pretty good match, but it also feels like something throwaway, unforgettable, and might be remembered more if something happens at the end. In 1 sec, I'm just gonna add Andrew back in. Hello.
Are we back?
We are back. We are back.
Let's go, man. See, look, my shitty internet took me out the game, man. But I'm glad we back. I'm glad we back. But I know you probably been moved on at this point. But can you hear me all good?
Yeah, I can hear you. All good.
Okay. Like I was about to say, like it's going. I know you probably moved on by now, but like just to finish up the Nikki Bella point, like I do like how she's being utilized on television, and I do enjoy seeing some of these talents from the past, specific more so like from the past women's division, because I feel like we've seen a lot of the dudes come back already. Yes. So I kind of enjoy seeing like somebody from that previous I almost say, I guess, generation, if you will, of talents come back and sort of get back into like a cycle, and not it just being like this like they had this saying hello from the crowd type of deal. Like they're actually involved in the on-screen product and the week-to-week television, and there's like actual storyline with a plan and things like that. So, but yeah, I think Becky's gonna retain. Like I think Becky Lynch is. I've enjoyed how she's sort of parlayed some sort of like heat into this heel character, because obviously we've seen the Becky Lynch character go heel before, but like I've enjoyed this run that she's been on lately, and I honestly, dude, like I'm like big. I'm very very big on Lyra Valkyria right now. Like I think Lyra is like you can like see she's like finding her stride, if not have already found it. Like I think Lyra is like she's like clicking on all cylinders, and I honestly do like Lyra's like when you talking about like some of the best on the main roster, like in ring wise, in the women's division, like I think EO's number one. Like I would have to like sit down and actually think about like the other but I think within that, like that top five, like Lyra's in there. Like I think like her body of work specifically from the start of this year, it's like I'm like Lyra is like she's finding it, and she's like starting to put it on. And I also think it helps that the crowd like got on board with their, you know, the overall support and the chants during her entrance, because that, you know, WWE they like focus in on a lot of that shit, the showmanship of like how the crowd reacts to you. I mean that's always going to be with any wrestling promotion. I'm talking about like with WWE specifically, they always that's like that matters to them more so than the in-ring aspect of it all. So I think that Lyra having that as well is like really helped her. So yeah, and Bailey, I'm excited to see what they do with Bailey. I hope it's not like some shit that like, you know, they bring her back and like they don't have like a concrete plan for what exactly this is. Because I feel like that's always a trend with WWE. Like they'll have like an idea in mind, and then like they stick with it, and then like they'll like just be like lose the fucking plot like after a month. So like hopefully this is something that's been well thought out, and that'll give Bailey some like I guess like some more legs. Cause Steph, I ain't gonna lie, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like I think Bailey's one of those talents. I think I'm kind of ready to see her like outside of WWE. Like I feel like she's kind of done everything that needs to be done there. So if this doesn't bring her some new life, if you will, like I think it might be that time, man.
Yeah,
I think she'll do good wherever she go.
Yeah. Next one, the Fatal 4-Way for the World Heavyweight Championship. I already just basically gave my thoughts, which is I think Seth Rollins is going to win. LA Knight's probably going to get pinned. And I think it's just one of those like obvious, you know, ones where it's probably setting up something like Survivor Series where like Punk and Jay and LA Knight will all be part of the babyface team against the Vision. And yeah, I think it's an easy win for Seth.
Yeah. I think Jay Uso probably will take the pin in this one. I can see that happening. Especially whenever they do, like, I'm talking about just in wrestling in general, whenever they do the whoever's usually the guy or whoever's the wrestler that gets like the big moment at the end of the show and the lead up to a pay-per-view, that's like more so like a lot of times the person that's gonna end up taking the pin or losing them in these like multi-man or multi-woman scenarios. So yeah, I think Jey Uso's probably gonna end up taking the pin and Seth gonna retain. And I think you spot on with your analysis about like this obviously leading up to some type of War Games match. So yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. I like the War Games concept. I really do. I do think it would be cool to like maybe find something different to approach maybe next year. Yeah. Just to like maybe throw around some different ideas or whatever like that. I don't really have anything. Like I don't know about going back to the whole brand superiority thing. Like I feel like that shit is so played out. Like that, like people will be beefing with each other all year on these brands and then be like, oh yeah, no, in November we got to stick together. Like it's like, you know, it's that shit makes no sense to me. But maybe switch it up and throw something different at the wall. Yeah, it's this world heavyweight title picture. I think it ultimately. I don't even think it's gonna be Seth Punk. I don't know. I can't really call who I think they'll sort of run with into like terms of late 2025, and you know, you can start seeing like the sort of the makeup of what they'll do at Mania. Like I think next year they'll probably go. I can see like Cody Punk more than I can see Seth Punk again.
Yeah.
As far as like a main event Mania program, like I don't really know where they go, but like I mean maybe they sort of flip the switch and they do. I don't think they hold off too long with doing Braun Breaker versus Roman Reigns. Like maybe they do like a like a Braun turning on the Vision or him being exiled from the Vision, and then that being like your world title program going into Mania or something along those lines. But yeah, like I think you spot on as far as the Survivor Series thing. So we'll probably get Seth, Jay, LA Knight, and LA Knight, Jay, Punk, and Roman, I guess.
Yeah,
Some Roman Reigns versus the Vision, and they'll have like a maybe that'll be their way to reveal a fourth member of the group.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I think Seth 100% wins, and Punk definitely doesn't take the pin. All right, for the main event, we have John Cena versus Logan Paul. This one, I feel maybe it could be 50-50, but John has just lost. He just lost to Cody. He turned face again after that, whatever that was that he was doing as a heel before then. He's got a match with Brock coming up. Yeah. I just feel like it's going to be something quite straightforward, like John beats Logan and Brock comes out at the end. And then we're all meant to be excited to see John and Brock at WrestlePalooza.
Hello, wait. That shit main event in the Clash in Paris?
I think so. Maybe they would have the championship, but I just feel like with John and the possibility of Brock, I think it's going to be an event. I feel like with Logan Paul, like I'm not don't necessarily like him or whatever, but I think he's pretty good in ring, and I'll give him all that. And to me, he would be someone that I wouldn't have minded actually being John Cena's last opponent, just because Logan Paul, one, he is good in ring, and two, he's kind of an obnoxious guy and a younger guy at least. And I could see some kind of connection with Cena and Logan Paul, but I feel like everything's just been turned up I don't know. I feel like they did if you think Logan Paul's bad, guess what? We've got Brock Lesnar, and now I'm just well, I don't know where they're going with this Cena shit until the end. Oh, I think Andrew might be frozen. I think I might have frozen him with my extremely down on John Cena takes. But yeah, I can't deny that I'm not at all interested in John Cena anymore. I didn't think he executed his heel one well. I'm not sure that many people did. When he had the match with Cody at SummerSlam, I did enjoy it, though I've never been a Cena girl, but I did enjoy it. I was okay, fair play. And then obviously we had the return of Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I think that really just shat on everything and put a real... If it was just to me just awful, and I don't have any excitement for the rest of Cena's run. I don't. I'm kind of done with it. Let me just add Andrew in here. Oh no, we've got two of you. Hang on, I'm kicking one of you out.
Yeah, kick Andrew one out. My shitty ass connection. I don't know what's going on, but we still here.
Well, this is the end. This is the end. So
we good on that. Like I say, but to your point, if this shit does close the show, again, like you said, it's probably gonna be a more so a guarantee that you're gonna get a Brock Lesnar appearance. But it is so crazy to me. Me and you talked about this before we started recording. It's so crazy to me, how just blatant and obvious WWE is in terms of hey, we don't care that this dude is mentioned in this sex trafficking lawsuit. I mean, again, and then we and you had a whole damn near 30-minute conversation about this before we started recording.
Yeah.
This shit is so crazy to me how WWE is so leaning into this right wing shit. Like they've always been leaning towards that way, but it's never been so blatant and obvious now, like how under this this Paul Levesque regime, and him being at the White House and him being affiliated with these individuals within this current administration who is hell bent on attacking black and brown people, and like they've like sort of like cultivated like a lot. They're trying to like lean into like a lot of the audience that the UFC has, because like the UFC, they have like this very like pro right wing, they have like the UFC audience is extremely interesting. That's an interesting bunch of people over there, like in terms of like that core group of people. And I feel like WWE under this TKO banner is trying to assimilate that audience into their product. And I feel like by them trying to do that is recruiting a lot of the same figures that are prominent media, not coverage, man, because I don't want to talk about like the individuals who write about UFC or like do like the press conferences. I'm talking about more so like the social media personalities, like people, individuals like an Andrew Schultz, if you will, like those type of people. Like I feel like those are the type of individuals that WWE want to recruit in now and bring into their mainstream, like knowing also the type of the audience that these individuals have, like how it's so like it's not surprising to me, because I mean I've always felt that they lean this way and they have this like some of these internal feelings, but like to see like them like obviously knowing the backlash that was going to come with bringing Lesnar back, knowing that this is still like an active lawsuit that's still going on. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if like we had a point, like I've seen this thrown around. It's not no original idea or nothing like the original thought. I've seen this thrown around plenty of times, that the idea of them reintroducing, not reintroducing, but bringing like a Vince McMahon back for John Cena's final match in December. Like I can see them doing that. Like they are like in this. I mean, I also think it's a lot to do, and I'll spare you the whole like my political thoughts and all that and all that. I'll save you that, but it's so crazy to me to see like this leaning into this shit, like knowing that you have talents on your roster who are a part of the very communities that are being attacked by this current administration, and then you have to you go and you look at these individuals on your roster who are a part of these communities, while you're like actively and loudly boasting that you are in support of these people, while these people's communities are being attacked by the people who are running the fucking country in the United States. Like that shit is like insane to me, and I'm very curious as to how like that, more so what these talents like really think when they see that, and it's so fucking weird, man. But like what Brock, like I think that's like a clear indicator that they have like fully immersed themselves into that specific sector of society, and I don't like I think it's just gonna keep continuing from there. But like also I think I saw Lance Storm brought this up. Like I wonder like what that says about the like what that message sends to like the ladies of their roster, like that, like this dude is like in the midst of an active lawsuit, like he's in that, and the fact that you like are willing to like bypass that and bring him back, because like they don't need Brock Lesnar. No. They've been without him for the last 2 years, I think, or last year, or later the last 2 years. So like they don't need him. They wanted to bring him back, and like even like the sort of conversation that Triple H had sort of started after Brock came back, and he sort of insinuated that John Cena wanted him back, and then Cena went in the interview and said, "I've never chosen who I wanted to face." So like that is like it's such like I think we are like in such a crazy ass time that we living in, especially here in the US. Like it feels like a lot of that a lot of that right wing shit is like seeped into most of society, if not all. Like, and I'm not even talking about just in the US, I'm talking about just in general. Like I feel like a lot of that culture, a lot of that they try to use the word woke. I fucking hate that shit. I hate Steph. When I say that shit makes me want to run through a wall. When I see people use that in the context they're using, that shit fries my brain. And I think that has been like cultivated into this overall thing of like, well, you know, you shouldn't be able to cancel people and cancel culture for things like, and it's like, bro, this man is in an active sex trafficking lawsuit. Like he's named in that. Like it's not like some like. But again, I'm not really surprised because they've been leaning heavily to this way since November. So I'm not really super shocked, but it is fucking insane to me to see like the way society has I don't even know, I was about to say progressed, but it hasn't progressed. We regressed in a way. So it's this shit is ridiculous though. But I mean, you know, I'm at this point they gonna do, you know, what they want to do, and you know, it is what it is.
I think we're in just a really unfortunate time where having any kind of like basic like empathy or kindness or understanding is seen as being woke, or you know, being too snowflakey. So you see someone like Brock Lesnar come out in a pay-per-view and like just talking about the Brock thing from like a female perspective, and just him what he's alleged to have done, like all of that, like reading it, his just very presence, you know, is so triggering for women that have been through anything like that. And then, you know, him being like allowed back in and like re-embraced and stuff. You know, it's very, very horrible to see a man accused of what Brock have like, I don't know, 10,000 people cheer him and stuff like that, and have a company lift him up. But yeah, this is WWE saying like that they don't care. I think we can't ever give them the benefit of the doubt on anything again, on caring about women, caring about you know, like non-white people, anything like that. Like they just do not care, and they're going to do whatever. And I think like I was surprised when Brock came out, and then I hated myself for being surprised, because I know what they're like. I know what Triple H is like. I know what John Cena's like. He always seems to get past. Like John Cena,
Yeah.
he is not someone I would hang out with. I would choose to hang out with this stuff that you know about him and hear about him and the stuff he shows of himself. Like, and I was just watching it, and like Brock coming back, I was shocked, and so angry about it, like not sad, just so angry. And then I was like, why are you shocked? They've shown you who they are. I think, yeah, when people keep showing you, like, you better believe them. And I think we can believe WWE now. And but there's a definite thing of like, right now, with the way the world is, with how big the company is, with them being in TKO, with them being on Netflix, having an ESPN deal, they are just like, we can do whatever we want, and we can cover our ears to the noise from anyone, and it doesn't matter, because we're going to survive. Because them doing something like bringing Brock back, bringing Vince back, badly treating talent, all of that stuff, like that's not going to end the company. Like, not in this climate, not when they have this money. So they're just like, we'll do whatever we want. So it wouldn't surprise me if Vince came back, like, unfortunately. And John Cena's like retirement run, I think this is what I'm going to remember it for. Like, the person I'm going to remember John Cena as is the guy who, one of his last matches was with Brock Lesnar, who still talks about his friendship with Vince McMahon. I think he is a cowardly human being, and I have zero respect for him. And I think he shows his cowardice really, really often. And yeah, I think that's how I'm going to remember John Cena, because I don't feel any great like affection towards him, and any that I did have has definitely been eroded the past couple months, when like he's been more out there with who he is.
Right, it's like I feel like me and you could like sit and like talk about this for like probably an hour at the least, at the minimum. Like, because it's like, I think within the culture of WWE, and especially again this like where we're at, in society right now, as far as like racism being at an all-time high, anti-blackness being at an all-time high, and these things being normalized, like, and especially what you see what's happening to Hispanics and Latinos with, you know, this like just fucking like ripping people's families apart with this ICE shit. And you know what I'm saying? Like you're seeing this in real time. So like it's so like, again, this is why it brings me back to that point that I had brought up, and like you and I had talked about it before we started recording, about it's so funny to me, not literally funny, but figuratively funny in terms of how like Triple H and other individuals within WWE are so closely aligned with this Trump administration, who is like actively targeting these communities that some of your wrestlers, a good chunk of your wrestlers, are a part of. Like that shit is like, I've never, but again, I think that they look at the talents as expendable, depending on who you are. Of course, you know, you have your wrestlers who aren't viewed in that category, but I think for most, they kind of view them as expendable. You can sort of switch them in and out. Doesn't really matter. You can find somebody else to fill in their place. And there's no sort of real genuine connection outside of these people can make me money. And I feel like that's always been sort of the underlying theme of not, and that you can say that's been the underlying theme at WWE before all this happened. Like that's sort of been like most sort of the, you know, the gist of what they sort of feel about most talents, unless you're a part of that upper tier or the top tier. So it's just like even like the like I had mentioned it earlier, but like that when people use the word woke, like I that shit like just fries my brain, because it's like woke, that word was started within the Black community as a way to keep our own people aware of what was going on in society. And I think they were saying that during Jim Crow, when when Black people were viewed as 3/5 of a fucking human being, you know what I'm saying? Legally, that was a legal thing that was happening. And like they were just telling other Black folks to stay aware of what's going on out here and be aware of your surroundings, because in a lot of ways you could get away with murdering someone who is Black and really not, you know, face any consequences, or there wouldn't be any deep investigations into what happened to this individual because of the way society was at the time. And like to see like the way that woke has been co-opted and turned into this like a slur, if you will, like they call you woke, and like it's like it's like it comes in waves. Yes, exactly. It comes in waves. Like it started with the DEI. That's like another way of like calling somebody a slur without calling them a slur. You have the woke thing, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like some like Trump calls like a lot of the Black politicians, and specifically like a lot of Black female politicians, he calls them low IQ individuals. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody with a fucking brain can see the coded language and these microaggression dog whistles that are being thrown out and has been sort of assimilated into this society that we're living in, where people are using these terms and trying to act like they don't know the underlying context of what these terms represent and what these sayings represent. And again, that just circles back to the point about what I say. What I hate when people say that shit, because they be like, oh, well, you know, I'm woke, or they calling other people woke for like just for having basic fucking empathy for other human beings. Like, yes, bruh, I don't want to see people get snatched up out the street. Yes, I don't want to see fucking the FBI and the fucking whatever these other police organizations in Black neighborhoods in Washington D.C. fucking with Black people like for no fucking reason. Like, yes, I don't want to see that. I'm not trying to see fucking programs for Black doctors and Black nurses be slashed and shit like that. He just fucking like cut the funding for like Hispanic, predominantly like Hispanic colleges and universities and shit like that. Like, and they, for like caring about shit like that, they'll call individuals woke. And like just circling back to the just to get this back on track about like with WWE, like to them leaning into that is a like an overall, I think like I had a conversation with somebody about this a while ago, and I always say this. I think it's gonna be so funny, like when this is all over and we're all past this, and you won't be able to find one individual. Steph, I will put my every fucking dime that I have to my name on this. I would say about 20 years from now, you won't be able to find one individual that will happily admit that they support what's going on right now. Everybody's going to act like they weren't like affiliated or weren't a part of it or weren't anything. Like it kind of reminds me. Like I ain't trying to get nobody no fucking history lesson or nothing like that. I know we talking about wrestling right now, but like it's like it kind of reminds me of how like so Steph, my grandmother was 8 when Jim Crow ended. She was 8 years old when Jim Crow ended, right? That is somebody who was and I had my great grandparents in my life for like a good shot. I think from the time I was of course since I was a baby till I was like 11 or 12 when my great grandparents passed away. Like those were people who were alive during that time. And like it always baffles me because I never hear about the white individuals that were essentially terrorizing these black people. Like those individuals just faded into the abyss. Like they're like nowhere to be seen. These people didn't exist anymore. And I'm like, if my grandmother and my great grandfather were, you know, my great grandparents were still here, and I got to spend a good chunk of time with them, there's no way that those people who were on the opposite end of the spectrum aren't still here. If my grandmother is 8 years old when Jim Crow ended, there's no way, and my grandmother's still here and doing really well, there's no way that the individuals who weren't on the opposite end of that spectrum aren't still here to this day. And they just faded into the back. Like you never hear about them, right? The same people who was waking up at fucking 5 a.m., 6 a.m. on a fucking school day to go yell at Ruby Bridges because she went to a school with white kids. Like, you never hear about those individuals who were there doing. Those people are still alive. Ruby Bridges is still alive. Ruby Bridges is like fucking 60 years old, 50 some years old. She has an Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like she's still here. So those individuals who were doing that stuff to her, they're still here. But like that just circles back to my point about when this shit is all over, you will not be able to find people who will willingly admit that they support this and what's going on and what's happening to Black and brown communities. They're going to just act like, oh well, you know, I didn't agree with what was going on, and meanwhile they were the people who was going, like, who were big supporters of them and big backers of what's happening. So it's like just get it back on track about the wrestling aspect of it. Like I think you hit the nail on the head. I think WWE is at a point where they know that a lot of their core fan base really doesn't give a shit. They kind of just like, hey, we just want to be entertained, and that's kind of it. And they're making all this money, so it's just like, you know, we can overcrowd all the negative noise by just, you know, doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that, and just basically clouding up the media cycle, and, you know, sort of taking attention away from a lot of the criticisms. And I'm pretty sure they'll do the same thing when they do this Brock match. Like they'll have people come out and, you know, sort of defend it. Like they've already had Heyman do it. Like Heyman was doing the, well, you can't cancel Brock. Well. Yeah, you can't cancel Brock Lesnar type of deal. Like they've already in the process of doing this. So, you know, that's where we at right now.
Wow. Yeah. It's it feels like almost like not dumb, but like insignificant to be talking about a wrestling show, but at the same time, like wrestling does reflect society, and there is bad shit going on in wrestling, just like this society. It's reflecting, and but Andrew, thank you so much. Do you want to tell people where else they can find you and hear these great discussions that you always have over in NWA?
So I had actually I'm writing at Fightful now. I started writing at Fightful, and I came back to Fightful in May, late May. So yeah, I've been writing over there. I'm still in the Nefarious Media network that Nate and Chris has set up. So I'm gonna try to hopefully one day I can make my way back over there. It's just been like a scheduling thing. So I'm gonna try to find one day where I can like jump on one of their shows and, you know, chop it up with them guys again. But I know they're doing great things over at NWA. I try to tap in whenever I can or catch the shows late. But yeah, that's why I'm writing at Fightful now. I haven't done like an interview in a while, so hopefully like sometime within like the next year, sometime within the next couple months. I can sort of start doing some interviews again. But yeah, if you want to see my written work, go over to Fightful.
Yeah. For me, you can just follow me on X and Instagram. It's Stephanie M. Cheese. My most recent article on Substack is called WWE Doesn't Care About Women. So I get like that's relevant to what we're talking about. So if you want to see that aspect of things just laid out, you can give that a read and a follow. And yeah, thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you again next time. Bye.